All right, guys, third time is the charm. I am hoping. I am hoping. All right, now you're gonna. Kicked me out. We're good. We're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. Holy moly. Yeah, it kicked me out. I was like, okay. Okay, I think we're okay. I'm just getting be situated. My kids are coming to talk to me about things. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Did you send it to her? Okay, come on. Oh, okay. Yes. There we go. Here we go. We did it. We did it. Woohoo!
Yay, there you go.
Oh my God. I was like, for fudgesicle sakes, like not this shit again.
It just kept saying that you did, like, it was like broadcast, there was no broadcast signal.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened. Like I quickly paused it so I could call B and be like, hey, this is where you need to be. We got this. And then it kicked me out.
Yeah, well, I guess if you like get out of it, it'll
Well,
Totally.
kick you out.
paused, right? So you can still
Oh,
do
is that
stuff
what
if
it
it
was
was
doing?
paused. Yeah, it was paused and then I resumed it.
Okay,
But
and
I
you
did
guys
it.
can
We're
hear
here.
me
We're
okay, right?
here, guys. We're here.
It's
We are here.
pretty
Amazing.
standard for us. First time we do any of these. I mean,
Always.
we've done a live on Facebook already, but only with two of us. And I'm pretty sure we did like this. There was this, like, we had to reboot our phone. Hi,
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Morgan.
Yay!
Hello,
Yeah,
everybody.
so we're gonna every single time have some sort of technical difficulty the first time we do it, it seems.
But we made it, so we're
But
good.
we're here, we're here.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, we are.
goodness.
And thank you for joining us. It's
Yes.
exciting.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate being here, and hopefully, what happens during this conversation is of benefit to a number of people that are listening, in whatever
Yeah,
capacity
absolutely.
that might take place. So, yeah, it's pretty cool to be here. It's different to be on this end of things and on my end when the way I usually do things.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, and
No.
Facebook world's a little different too, because
Mhm.
one of the great things about it is that we generally know everybody. I mean, you are coming onto our channel, so
Exactly.
we know the people. So we're introducing you to a lot of our people who we've already had some conversation with, and some of our, of course, are friends, and because it's our personal Facebook page and then our business page, which people have found, of course, as well. So we're doing this instead of, we didn't release an episode this week, an official like Spotify, YouTube episode this week.
You're really
But this
crackly.
is, I am.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's my headphones.
I don't know. It's just really. I'm just letting you know because it's. I can
Let me
hear you.
take them off.
Like every time you talk, it's just like. Do you like that sound?
You got to have humor in this too, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Actually, if you want a humorous story, I made dinner and one of my kids is like really texture fussy.
Uh,
So she took a bite and spit it back into her bowl because she didn't like it. Well, I'm running around the kitchen and I'm eating while I'm doing stuff, and do I not pick up her bowl and eat out of it? And then I look at her, I was like, is this yours? And she's looking at me like, ew, you. And I'm like, okay, I can't think about this right now. I have to go because I will be I will be sick. But that's having kids, right? Gross stuff like that always happens. There's always something disgusting when you have children.
This is true.
don't have children of my own, but I did a lot of nanny work, so yes.
Well, even dogs, animals,
Yeah,
right? Animals are like that too.
that as well.
There's a lot of similarities. And do I sound better now that I've
Yeah,
took my?
yeah, you sound really good.
Yeah.
no,
Okay, that's
not
good.
so crackly.
Yeah, it was just crackly. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, just my
Oh,
phone.
a sneeze.
But yeah, we're doing this instead of an official episode because we have been doing our podcast now officially for 20 weeks. So we have released something every single week for 20 weeks.
Excuse me.
We've released, actually, I think there, we may have even done it a little bit longer than that. We've been at this since November. And so this is official. This is like our 20th episode, essentially, which is like in the whole like podcast world, that's like a pretty big milestone because at 20 episodes, so it's only like I think it's 1% of podcasts make it past 20 episodes.
Yes.
So we are pretty excited that we've gotten this far because I mean, it's a huge learning curve, right? And we've had to, especially with the whole like social media world and tech world and like all these things that we've had to learn along the way in like 5 months basically that we've been doing this, 6 months.
And I'm an infant when it comes to technology.
This is
like
true.
I mean, I'm not even like the infant that can like hold its bottle yet. That's like convenient infant. I'm literally like just need the boob all the time because I just don't.
Yeah, but you've learned a lot in a short period of time.
I mean, yeah, I'm definitely getting my floor is on a slant, so every time I move, I just like slide under the table. Good old farmhouses. Yeah, no, definitely dialing it in, but it's a lot. It's a lot to figure out.
It is. I always have to call for help when I need something done tech-wise.
Yeah.
Or I'm fumbling through it and I'm lost.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
absolutely. So should we wait do you guys want to just shoot the shit for a few more minutes until some more people come in?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I can see we've got a few people that have started joining. Hi, everybody who's joining us. Thank you for being here.
I don't know who's all going to make it, but this is cool.
Mm-hmm.
I realized something that I do that is a comfort thing for me, is I have something that will bring me back to the reality of the moment by having a nice tea with some honey in it or a beverage. And that brings me to a different focus if things are getting intense for me. And I realized that today that this is what I do. So I have my vanilla rooibos tea with honey in it.
Ooh.
So I got not only the scent, I got the warmth, and I got the flavor. And that's something pleasant to focus on if I'm dealing with anything that feels remotely unpleasant.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and that sounds delicious. Vanilla rooibos tea.
Yes.
Rooibos, is that how you say it?
I like that stuff.
Black tea one, but
I'm drinking coffee
vanilla.
at 7. I don't know what I'm thinking, but
I can't do that. I
love a coffee. I'd love a coffee right now. Too late though. Too late. My kids go to bed at 9:30, and then I'm basically toast by then. So if I drink coffee now, I'm gonna be up till midnight, and which is gonna make a 6 a.m. wake up pretty difficult.
yeah, I hear you there. Dustin buys these. They're like Nescafe, and they're camp coffee. So essentially, it has everything in a little packet.
Yes.
So this is like a vanilla coffee one. So I'm like, I'll just get this dialed in. I'm regretting it now though, because I can already feel it kicking in, and that just like little bit of like
Pulling you from the ceiling.
yeah. We'll be hanging from this mood light in here soon.
Oh no.
Oh, what do you do, right? What do you do?
Live. Live.
Right? I can just go jump off the roof.
Yeah, no, please don't do that.
Well, it's not very far to the ground, actually, so it wouldn't be bad. Just go blow off some energy.
Fly.
Yeah. I feel like I might be able to right now.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm only seeing that there's one viewer. How does that work? Like, where are you seeing?
I don't see anything as far as viewers go or anything like that.
Okay, I see we have one. I'm just gonna push it. Oh no.
Yeah, I'm gonna push too on my end and see if
Okay, we have some viewers. There's some in there. Just it just shows like one eyeball lit up. So
One eyeball lit up.
it's just like an eyeball and it has a 1 beside it. So
Yeah, I'll see it. I'll see if
okay, I see 3. Okay. Yeah.
as well. Messages sent separately.
There was 4, now it's 3.
It could be
Yeah,
connections for some people too.
I can't see that. I don't know. My I don't know what I'm missing, but that's fine. I don't need to know how many people are watching us.
No.
But
No.
leave that comment and then we know that you're here.
Yeah, there we go. That works.
Give a little shout out, and then we know you're here. I
Are
know
you
that.
Yeah, we
seeing all the
can see the
comments?
comments.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
that.
Perfect. Well, ladies, shall we? Do we want to get into it?
So I'll just, for anybody who just tuned in, this is our 20th episode. So we have released 20 episodes of our podcast. So we're doing this live instead of doing an official like Spotify, YouTube episode. We're doing this in celebration because we love doing the lives, and it's nice to interact with everybody. And as you can see, we have our first guest who we have found, well, actually it's through TikTok, I guess, and you guys can talk a little bit about that sort of connection and how all that was made. But we have our first guest in celebration of our 20th episode, which we're super excited about. And
Thank you.
we're going to be, I know Courtney did sort of send out a little message about like what we're going to be discussing today. And it is, of course, just like everything that we talk about, please be mindful that these are sensitive topics and that we are, taking everybody's personal situations into consideration, but we are going to probably talk and touch on some heavy things. So, I guess discretion is advised. And if you're feeling a little heavy and you need to, tune out, we totally get that. And if you feel so inclined, then, engage. We love that. We are going to try to keep questions, although like, specific questions really to the end so that we can sort of go through those. And because we really want to hear from B and a little bit about her story and how we've made that connection. So we want to be respectful of everybody's time and we want to dedicate some specific time to that. So I will let you guys start it off because you guys found each other first, and I've been watching this lovely relationship blossom, which has been so lovely to see.
Yes, the old tickety talk, eh?
Mm-hmm.
where I learned probably 90% of what my ailments was on TikTok. I learned what narcissism was.
Mm-hmm.
I learned what a mother wound was. The list goes on and on and on. And then I found Ignited, and then through Ignited I found B, because you guys are really tight and both incredible people.
Thank you.
On the same journey that we are on, being bold in our healing and not holding back, not sugarcoating it for anybody. This is what it is. This is what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I will not shut up. I will stand in the power of my voice. Take it or leave it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for anybody who doesn't know, Ignited is another lovely community member that we have been in touch with, who is also very supportive of, our message, and she's on her own healing journey. And so she's not actually, well, I don't know if we'll see her pop into the live or not, but so Ignited is another person who, for people who don't know what Courtney's talking about.
Check out TikTok. That's all you got to do. Go on TikTok, look up Ignited. B, what's your handle now? Because you changed it.
No, I didn't change it intentionally. TikTok did, and then I had to change it back. So right now it's Be a Woman of Faith.
Yes, be a woman of faith.
Yeah, you'll see bumblebees next to the name.
Yeah, if you have TikTok, go and follow these lovely ladies because they have amazing messages. And yeah, see, she's like, I'm here, ladies.
Hi, darling. We see ya.
She's in the house.
I love it.
I
love how you said, that like speaking up, giving voice to. And I just want to touch on that real quick because for me, I think what turned it into a fight was when I had a Crown prosecutor tell me that I needed to throw up my hands and walk away and just be done with the situation. And this is somebody who's supposed to be defending me in the legal system. And something in me snapped, and I said, I will not be silent and I will not back down. I will fight. And that's basically where my stance is now, is I'm going to fight. I'm not going to shut up. If you're uncomfortable, that's a you problem.
Yeah.
But there needs to be light shed on all of this. It cannot continuously be swept under the carpet.
Exactly.
So can you tell us a little bit about what it is that you're referring to? I think, Courtney, did you put in, I don't know if it pops up with like what the topic was that we were going to be discussing?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I did. I put it in the topic that we were going to be discussing B's situation to the comfort level that she's comfortable with sharing. So, yeah, if you're comfortable, then take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. I think TikTok was an integral part to really cracking the door open for me and bringing all of you into my world as well. I was abused as a child. Went into foster care when I was 6.5 years old, and I was raised in foster care. And unfortunately, because of programming from that toxic childhood, I have entered into more than one domestic abuse and violence situation. But I'm going to stay focused on the main one. And that was the one that escalated to the point where there was an attempt on my life, and I'm still here. And that's where the Crown prosecutor part comes in. But we'll leave that as like another, because that's the whole court case thing is just messy.
Yeah, I bet.
But through TikTok, and I have to bring that up because I do my own research and my own study, I needed to understand, one, why I kept falling in these patterns, why I kept attracting these toxic men, and how do I make it stop? And then, of course, the different forms of abuse that I was subjected to within that course of the relationship. I learned so many different terminologies off of TikTok that I was like, I sat back and I'm listening to this stuff going, oh my God, wow, this is crazy. And I'm one of the lucky few that's actually still here. Anyway, I want to try and stay on track for you guys, and I've got a few things here, and I got a few notes here, but what helps me is questions as well to kind of lead in to different questions. But Courtney, we had talked about one thing that I learned off of TikTok, and that was the term dog whistling.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that. As soon as you said the questions, I was like, oh, I have one. I'm waiting for my time to ask. Yeah, the dog whistling thing, which I thought was amazing because I'd never heard of it. So yeah, explain that one, B, because it's really...
It is a very insidious form of covert abuse that toxic people, abusers, and narcissists will use in public or around other people to instigate you into a reaction. So they will take things like trigger words. They know what sort of issues you have within the relationship, and they will find a way to provoke you in public to the point where you have a reaction, and then they can sit back and say, see, I told you he or she was crazy. See the reaction I'm getting. And they look like the good guy, because to observers, they don't understand that you're the victim being abused in public in front of everybody.
Yeah.
And it's insidious.
And so,
and
sorry, Pete, so is this a person that you were in a relationship with who was doing this while you were in a relationship? Okay.
Absolutely.
And so this is the behavior. So they were essentially, because I did hear you guys talk about this quickly in the live that I watched before. So the dog whispering thing, dog whispering, is that what it is?
Whistling.
Whistling, that makes more sense. Not Caesar Milan. Okay, because I was like, that doesn't sound right. So the person that you were in a relationship with understood that you had some trauma that you were dealing with, and then picked up on the things that you needed, like basically preyed on those pieces, and then that's where this dog whistling term, like that.
It's so gross.
So a good example would be there would be like an argument in the house,
Mm-hmm.
And he would take parts of that argument and he would bring it out, knowing where the soft spots are inside, and he would
Right.
bring those little things out in a conversation in public, knowing that he's provoking a fight. And of course there's going to be a reaction, so it's like, you know what, just leave it be or whatever. But the other thing that they do too, that is a form of dog whistling, is they will make you the brunt of the jokes. They will turn you into a laughing stock in front of other people, and you're nervous, or you're not nervous, you're like, what's the word I'm looking for, you're upset by it, obviously, but you try and laugh it off and act like it's no big deal. But in the meantime, it is abusive, because they're putting you down in front of these other people, and of course the other people are uncomfortable. They too will probably laugh it off, not realizing that it actually is an abuse tactic by abusers and narcissists.
Mm.
Do you ever wonder, though, if people are aware of it, but we're just so censored in being able to stand up and say something to somebody, you know, where you, I mean, I've seen that myself where, you know, friends years ago, in that you could see it and you could feel it at the same time. And you could cut it with a butter knife. It was so uncomfortable. And, you know, you feel helpless to do anything about it. You want to, but I mean, you don't know what will escalate from saying something or from acting on it, right? So part of it is like, is part of it ignorance to not want to do anything for someone, or part of it is that you don't know what the reaction will be if you do?
I would say it's probably a good 50-50 balance in that. Like if I'm witnessing something like that myself, given where I've transitioned to in my healing process, I will speak up for the other person that's being targeted.
Yeah.
If they're not able to speak up, I will speak up, no matter what escalates from that.
Yeah.
Like,
and you've come to that point, right? Because you've gained that, like, let's call it a superpower,
and that
a healing superpower. Yeah.
That knowledge too, right? That's a key point. The more you educate yourself about what you're dealing with, the better you are at arming yourself against these people and protecting yourself against these people. You know, you're going to stay soft inside, but it's, at the same time, you're not going to allow anything to penetrate back in and cause you any more harm.
Aunt Lori had a good question thought. Like, how long have you been out of this relationship that
This particular one,
yeah.
I'm going to take a deep breath. It will be officially 9 years this Monday.
That's right. That's right. You were talking about that.
Monday is the anniversary of the attempt made on my life and my victory at being able to actually get out and be a lucky survivor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
well,
I'm good. I'm good. It does need to be shared.
Yeah.
Time frame. Yes, it's been 9 years, but at the same time, it's been 9 years and I'm still dealing with it. I'm still healing from it.
God.
And this is a lifelong process.
Yeah.
It's just a drop in the bucket. This is like trying to contain the whole ocean and you can't.
Absolutely. I read, I was looking at statistics about domestic violence. I was doing a little research, and I was really astonished by how 1 in 6 women are murdered by their intimate partner in Canada.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like one in six women are murdered. Like, of the murders, like of the total women that have been murdered in Canada, 1 in 6 of them have been murdered from their spouse.
By their domestic,
intimate partner.
Yeah. Oh, hello, little Christy.
Yeah, that's.
Thank
I
you.
mean, yeah, I can't imagine. So going back to the TikTok thing, so given that it was 9 years later, I'm just going to make some assumptions and say that you probably, like, you had to have some sort of process that you probably went through for a while after that. Was what the hell just happened, trying to get your life back on track, and then like TikTok comes around, and then you start to hear some of these terms and you start to like connect those dots, because I mean, there's therapy and things like that, but I mean, TikTok is like one of the great things about TikTok is that it blasts off like all these like nuggets of information, just like that's like the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, what do you relate to? And then, so you found out a lot about what you had been dealing with, like putting terms to like what you had been experiencing, what you'd been feeling through like that exposure to TikTok and like what other people had been sharing, and then that's led you sort of down this path of talking more about what you've been through.
I think I had already been gearing up to being more vocal. And at the beginning of this year, I just said, you know, I need to take a leap of faith and put myself out there and see what happens. And I said, if anything, worst case scenario, it doesn't go anywhere, it hurts me more, or it's not of no benefit, I'll just shut it all down. But it's been since the beginning of the year, and I feel personally that with all the knowledge and the connections I've been making, I've had a few areas where I've plateaued in my healing, but at the same time I get to the end and I springboard to the next level. And the terminology, this is stuff that I didn't learn through any of my therapy sessions or with psychologists or therapists. This is stuff that I'm learning online from other people. Other people who've experienced it or other people who've researched it and are putting it out there. And I'm thankful for that, because in reality, and this is what comes to mind for me, is it takes the crazy out of the crazy, if that makes sense.
Yep, it does.
Here I'm thinking, I'm just absolutely crazy. None of this makes sense. I don't understand any of it. But now, dog whistling, I understand that. The different forms of abuse, I now have a better understanding of everything that I went through. And it helps, and it puts more perspective into the ability to start working through it and heal those areas. And I mean, it's not going to be a complete healing process, but at least I can address things more effectively.
Right.
So yeah, TikTok, social media, the books that I read, you know, the great conversations I have with other survivors and thrivers, because everyone comes in bringing in their perspective, their experiences, their wealth of knowledge and wisdom. And I sit back sometimes after doing a live and I cry, because I just feel relief, and at the same time I'm going, wow, like I'm really not alone. I'm really not alone in this. And it does. It takes the crazy out of the crazy.
If this if this is not an appropriate question to ask, like feel free to just decline it. How long were you with this person, if I may ask?
5 years. 5 years.
Yeah.
You go right into the very beginning of the relationship. It was the love bombing, the gaslighting, the sweetheart, we're going to have our farm, we're going to have the children, the names of our kids, the names of our grandkids, you know, like all of these things that we were planning together, until my very first broken rib. And then the threats and the realization that he intended to execute and follow through on those threats if I didn't listen and obey. And you just sit back and go, what did I get myself into? And now I'm trapped. Now, recognizing for myself, I'll bring this up really quick, because of my previous experiences in childhood plus other toxic relationships, that is a pattern of trauma bonding that I think was so heavily ingrained in me that when all of that started happening, I was already trauma bonded.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The trauma bonds, we did an episode on that. That was something that we learned later on, like far after we'd already established trauma bonds and ended trauma bonds. That was something, you know, to your point of like TikTok and things like that, that we learned those, like me and Courtney learned those things on our own later on. Whether or not there was a name for them and it was different, maybe that we didn't resonate with, but like the trauma bonding it's very, very common, especially for people who have experienced some levels of trauma in other areas of their life, they tend to find people over and over again, and they kind of do that repeat because it's familiar.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of comfort in the chaos when that's all you've ever known. So I want to rewind a little bit. Would you mind just telling us a little bit about, like, sort of, just give us, Cole's notes of, like, how the relationship came about, how did you guys meet, and sort of, you mentioned a little bit about what that looked like in the beginning, but I want to paint a little bit of that picture for anybody who's maybe in a scenario where they're experiencing something and there might be some flags, but they're not sure. I want to give that context.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking the same thing.
we met at my place of business, and he was a repeat client, but the connection kind of happened instantly, and the only way I can put it now that I'm able to look back at the situation, it was the intensity of the way he looked me in the eye. It was all encompassing. It was like I was the center of his universe. Every time he looked me in the eye, it was extremely engaging, direct, and deep. Predatory is what it is. And now when I look back, I can see that it was predatory. At the time, I just figured, oh my God, I found the love of my life, and this is amazing. Things are wonderful. He asked me to move in. I waffled on it a little bit because I was already in a good place. I had reestablished myself and rebuilt my life. And then I made that error in judgment and put myself in a position that cost me everything. The love bombing was huge, especially to get me to move in with him. And then once the move-in phase was complete, like I said, it's like the masks started coming off, and it was little things, just sort of innuendos, like why do you have so much makeup on, or why are you dressed that way? Yeah, I don't want you letting my friend in the house when I'm not here, because his friend happens to be a guy. And then he escalated to the whole house got equipped with security cameras and a security system
Inside
to monitor,
or outside?
inside and outside, to monitor my comings and goings because he worked out of town.
And so I'm curious, how did that conversation come about? Like, obviously you were living there, so you knew that this was happening. What was his reasoning for that? The security camera.
Yeah, to protect the house, protect the shop. It was basically home security. But I realized after it had nothing to do with home security, as I would go out for dinner with a girlfriend of mine and I would get a call, how come you're not at home? I see that the alarm is still set. You need to be home by 10. That alarm needs to be set by 10. Why did you leave the house this early? So that control and manipulation from a distance was very, very present within the relationship as well. And I lived in fear. Like I said, 4 months in, he gave me my first broken rib, and I was in
4 months.
Pardon?
4 months.
4 months into moving in together.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I guess there's still a part of me that's still in a state of shock over that, because it's like, why didn't I leave then? But it was the fact that he moved forward with the violence, and he made it clear that my leaving was not an option I would be lucky to survive.
Wow.
Yep. Well, and that's the thing. You see that so often, though. You see people that are in these domestic violence situations for years and years, and then you have people in the background that are like, well, why didn't you just leave sooner? Like, you could have left. And it's like, no, you don't understand the grasp that they hold.
Yeah.
Everything is in a state of, you're in a hypervigilant state all the time. And you're like, I don't know if it's better to stay here and at least I can control if something goes down versus leaving. And then what if I can't control when that person comes after me? Or, I'll be honest, I'm actually very, very triggered by this conversation, which I didn't think I would be, but I'm very triggered by it because I have had that experience myself, and just listening to what you're saying and that being so intense for you, I can't even imagine how you would have felt. It'd be so terrifying.
Do you need to take a moment?
No, I'm okay. I got water. I'm all right.
Okay.
I'm all good. I'm just surprised. I think it's, the way you're taught, you just get really into that feeling kind of comes back, just that feeling of being preyed on,
Oh yeah.
that so you have that person that's full of charisma, and they love you, and then there's just this side that you're like, how the hell did these two things exist in one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Blows your mind.
you hit the nail on the head too. They're so covert at what they do that to the outside world, they look like hard workers, dedicated spouses, the go get 'em kind of people. And they're charismatic, they're charming, they're sweet, but behind closed doors, they're the devil.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and they just unleash. I went through the whole gamut with him, from the physical abuse to the violence to I don't know how candid I can be, but to SA within the relationship, the psychological, the threats, the intimidation, the financial abuse. I literally walked away with nothing, which perpetuated one of the court proceedings against him. And then neglect, because due to another assault that he subjected me to, I was locked up in the house for 4 months, and he kept feeding me pills and moving me around the house. I wasn't allowed to leave because my injuries were very apparent. I had the raccoon eyes, bruises head to toe from being dragged through the house. And he didn't want the neighbors to see. But
Oh my God.
I was being denied medical attention when I had sustained a brain injury, and that particular attack cost me the hearing in this ear. He broke the bones in the ear. I've had surgery since then to fix that, so I got prosthetics. But I look at a lot of that and go, like, it almost feels like somebody else's life, but it was my life.
Yeah.
I lived through that. And I can't stress this enough with what we just said about the statistics at the beginning. I'm one of the lucky few that survived that, and I'm here to see how many days since that day.
Right. So that event that you're talking about, because I actually, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
talking a little bit more on two of the pieces. I want to hear a little bit about what that first interaction was like what you were thinking about after. This is not, fortunately, I was in a bit of an abusive relationship, one of my earlier relationships, and I was able to get out. So I remember the first time something physical happened, and I brushed it off, thinking this is a one-off situation. So that's where I'm coming from with it. So I'd like to hear from you, like, obviously we know any sort of violence at any level, whether it's male on female or female on male, is inappropriate. And I've been on both sides of that, unfortunately, at one point in my life.
Yeah.
But what was that like? What was going through your mind, or what sort of happened after that? Was there a gap in between the first sort of, you mentioned your broken rib, like that's obviously a very big altercation.
Injury.
It is. Yeah. In fact, I did do a short little writing piece that's in my other TikTok account about it. I think I went into sort of a denial mode, that this was even happening. I think in the back of my head, I was like, what the hell did I get myself into? What the hell is going on here? This can't be real.
Right.
So a huge part of me became, I almost call it compartmentalized, that I just started shifting inside and disappearing and becoming a shell of myself. So I would act as he would require me to act, become the person he required me to be, to not be assaulted again.
Right.
It didn't stop it from happening again, but it wasn't like an everyday occurrence. But when the blowout happened, it was serious injuries. But I shut down and I became compartmentalized, and I went into denial, and like you're saying, oh, this is just a one-off. He's not this person.
Right.
Remember at the beginning, all the things he promised me, and then, and this is, okay, I gotta say this so that you guys, so a lot of you can understand the whole love bombing phase and then the abuse phase. He would beat the crap out of me at night, force me to sleep in bed with him, even though I didn't want to, because obviously I've been traumatized and terrorized for the night. Get up the next morning, let's go we're gonna go for breakfast. Like nothing happened. All sunshine and rainbows and everything is perfect and peachy keen, and I would have to get cleaned up, and we would go to our favorite place, grab a meal, and we would go to a different location and we'd have our meal outside, our breakfast outside. Like nothing happened. And that was a repeat cycle within the relationship. He would blow up, something drastic would happen, and then it would be, oh, I'm going to take you out to dinner, or I'm going to take you out for breakfast. Like nothing happened. And then it's like a rewind, and it's like, well, there he is. There's the guy I fell in love with, but it's all the facade. It's all fake.
Well, and our brains want to make sense of it, right?
Absolutely.
And you automatically go into like, what's the most logical reason for this? And you start to make those excuses. Like, it's interesting that you say compartmentalize. That's a good way of sort of looking at it, because you're like, he's doing this because of this, or he's doing this because he has trauma, or he's doing this because, you're right, I did do something stupid. Like, your logical brain tries to make those connections, when in reality there's a time and a place to be logical, and then knowing that, unfortunately it took you some time to like actually remove yourself from the situation. But those sort of behaviors are, I believe, pretty typical of people who are in those relationships, because you do try to make sense of it, and you want to give them the benefit of the doubt, and you don't, maybe there's a part of your ego or something that doesn't want to believe that you've made these decisions. But at the end of the day, like, some people are just not nice people, and you come across them, and I'm so sorry to hear that you like have been through all this. I had no idea. Like, this is my first time hearing your story, that you've gone through some really crazy scenarios with this individual. And I want to sort of touch a little bit again on the other part of your story, which was more, I guess, at the end of your story, where he really, like, went to another level. Because what you said was, he basically hid you away from people, and he gave you drugs, like and to basically, what, sedate you? Or can you give a little bit more background as to like what that's all about?
So in most cases, a lot of the injuries that I sustained were below the neck, easy to cover, easy to hide. But what happened was not coverable. I had raccoon eyes, split lip. I mean, my whole face was pretty ugly mess. Not to mention the fact that I obviously had sustained a brain injury. He had knocked me completely unconscious with 3 solid blows to the face. He didn't want anyone to know because of the facade, and being in a very closed-in community. Had I even stepped outside the door, any of the neighbors would have been able to look over and go, oh, what the hell happened to B? I mean, it was very apparent that you can't hide that. So for 4 months, I wasn't allowed to leave the house, hence the security system. So if he had to go anywhere the security system was on, if it got triggered, he was right back at the house immediately. I finally convinced him at about 4 months, when the majority of it had faded away, to let me go and get groceries. and I made my way straight to my doctor's office and told her what happened, so that everything could be documented and they can catch the residual end of what had transpired. But he did. Months that I really don't
Wow.
remember much, because he kept putting pills in my hand telling me to take it, and I would, right? I'm terrorized at this point. I'm going to take whatever he hands me. So I know that I was not within my right mind because of the injuries. I know that I was super traumatized and completely disconnected and drugged. So I was either in the basement area or on the couch or in the bedroom or on the floor. And that's about all I remember for the 4 months until I was actually, the drugs started coming back out of my hand. And I was like, wow, okay, I need to get out of here. I need to go and get help.
Wow.
But there's a word for it, and I had to look it up because it's not the neglect part. It's like unlawful confinement,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And
Yep.
I guess the neglect part was a failure to provide the necessities of life, in many ways as well, because I had sustained injuries from him, brain injury for sure. Anything could have happened, but he didn't call 911. He didn't get help. He didn't take me to the doctors, nothing like that. He kept me hidden away for 4 months.
And that is such an important piece that you're touching on, because that is the difference between, and I'm sorry, I'm going to be blunt about this.
Be blunt.
Like, that is the difference between a fucking monster and a person who has some real fucking issues that they have to deal with.
Yep.
And sorry, I'm swearing. When I get passionate, I swear.
Me too.
But like that is the difference between this person. So like, I hope this person fucking pays for what they did, because like, for them to deny you health, like, it's not like they were drunk, maybe they were intoxicated, but like, and then they fucked up and they like hit you, and then they felt like a lot of sadness
Remorse.
from that, and remorse and empathy, and all of that for you, and being like, holy shit, I messed up. Like, this person knew exactly what they were doing at that point, and then was going like this. That's a person who should be locked away, who's a danger to society. Sorry for being very
No,
blunt.
I agree with you on that. I'm going to touch on that, but I'm also going to back up real quick on the alcohol part. I had a conversation with somebody recently, because there's often times where people, I think, just say they, and I've had this with him in particular, where people is like, oh, well, he was just drunk. He could do this while he was drunk or sober.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, alcohol simply opens the door to the true nature of that person. All those inhibitions come down, all the masks come off. So when they're intoxicated, you're actually seeing the true nature of that person.
Yep.
So if they got drunk and they hit you, and it's the first time they ever hit you, you're seeing a side to them that's very real. Don't ever just
100%, I agree.
you know that they have that propensity to do it even when they're sober.
Yeah.
And
that's the next step. If they're able to do it when they're drunk, they're going to keep pushing. I believe that 100%.
Well, especially if you're when you've been put into like call it shell shock almost.
Yeah.
And you're not reacting to what they've done, and they see that they can push you in the direction of just pushing it off and whatever.
Absolutely.
Then they're like, okay, well, I can escalate this. I have the power, I have the control. Now where else can I apply it?
Yeah.
They get more and more brazen with their abuse tactics.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because that person is operating at a whole nother level.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I pray for, because the one thing that didn't happen, he didn't go to prison. He didn't even get charged. He got arrested. The 9 years this Monday, he got arrested. He was taken in. Within a few hours, he was brought right back to the house. That's when police told me to grab a few of my items that I could grab, and I was taken to safety. So ambulance, safety, hand in hand. But when it came to the criminal charges, and I went to court, and this is what pissed me off with the Crown prosecutor. She's supposed to be defending me because I don't have a lawyer. I don't have a lawyer to fight against this man who tried to unalive me. He tried to kill me.
Well, that's what it's domestic violence, that's their job
That
when it's the crown, right? Like they take that automatically.
it's
There,
just sick to me because I feel like that's not domestic violence. That is like an attempt of
Guess it's beyond that.
something.
You've taken the line that shouldn't have been crossed and you've crossed it even further.
that's what
Yeah.
makes me angry is I was there and I know he tried to kill me.
Yeah.
And because there was no witnesses,
Right.
that's what it came down to. There were no witnesses to his act against me of violence and his attempt to unalive me, his word against mine. And of course, when they came and got me, I was hysterical. I was hysterical. I mean, I was all over the place because I'm complex post-traumatic stress disorder, just been assaulted. The man tried to kill me. I'm in shock. I'm still here. I mean, I had to fight to get my phone that night to be able to call 911 because I couldn't get out of the house to get away from him. But they let him walk. Our legal system failed, and they let him walk.
And now he's probably doing it to another person. Like, it's sick.
And that's what I said. That's what I said to the Crown prosecutor and his lawyers. I said, mark my words, he will eventually unalive somebody. And you had the opportunity to do right by me by putting him where he needed to be, in prison. But you let him walk and you guys dropped the charges. I bawled my eyes out in the hallway of that courtroom. And you know what was another kick in the teeth, ladies? There was a lady who was sitting next to me who was dealing with the exact same thing. And all the evidence was there on the screen in the courtroom of her in her hospital bed, ventilators and everything from what this man did to her. And they let him walk.
Oh my God.
Two violent perpetrators walked that day because our legal system failed. It still enrages me to this day. And that's another reason why I won't be silent. When she said, you know what, B, you're lucky to be alive. Just throw up your hands and walk away. It's done. It's over. When I looked at her and I said, those are fighting words, you bitch.
I'd be like, well, you
Those
can go, that makes me so angry for someone to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'd be like, and you can go fuck yourself. Thank you very much. Like, bye.
That's pretty much what I said.
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me?
Wow.
No.
Like, wow.
I'm going to fight now.
Well, that's why it's important that we have these conversations because, I mean, sadly, the system failed you. And I know a lot of the people who are in our groups and who are going to find us tonight are Canadian as well. So, you know, if they're, you know, hopefully nobody is in this sort of scenario. But it's important that we're having these conversations so that people understand the severity of what these things are and what these, you know, looking for these red flags, understanding, you know, what this looks like from somebody who's thank God been through it and survived it.
Yeah.
You know, and now an advocate for people who you know can get out of their situation as well. Like,
and that's
the
another
hope.
reason why I speak up. That's another reason why I speak up, because who knows who in these open platforms are actually listening that are still within the situation and are struggling to get out. You know, just getting that bit of knowledge coming in whatever means necessary that might actually help them get out of their situation, right?
Yeah.
And then the people that are on their healing journey, like what we're doing here, we're all sharing this information and this knowledge, and you know, it's so beneficial. Like, why? Yeah, shit happened. My life was filled with trauma and tragedy and abuse and whatever. But if I don't take that knowledge and that wisdom from what happened back there, everything I went through was for nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
If I don't share it, it was for nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's all been wasted. And I can either continue to play that freaking victim role mentality, or I go, no, I'm a survivor, thriver, and overcomer. And that's what I'm going to continue steering myself towards.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a lifetime of healing. It's a lifetime of healing.
Yep, 100%. And that's the, you know, that's the catalyst to all the messages we all are putting out there, is that the healing journey is a journey. It is not a destination. There is no finish line. It is about doing the work and staying, committed to what's, important for you as far as that goes, and not being like, for me, sometimes I was getting blindsided by all this. Well, this will cure you, or this will do this, or if you're not acting like this, then you're not healing, and all this bullshit, right? And and I hate to say this, but 90% of the time it's coming from people that don't have a clue,
Absolutely.
that haven't actually experienced any of these things. Sure, you've gone to school and you studied it, and I can appreciate that, but I can't appreciate it as much as I getting that, wisdom and insight from somebody who's experienced it.
Yeah.
They understand those deep conflicted feelings. They understand the things that a therapist could only describe to you as being, you know what I mean? They can't empathize with it. They can't feel it with you.
Yeah.
And that, that makes a really big difference.
It does. Yeah.
There's one thing that you will hear me say on a very regular basis. A lot of these abusers, a lot of these narcissists, they get to walk. Our legal system fails us. And even if they do get charged with something, it's usually a slap on the wrist. But the victims of these assholes are the ones who are handed a life sentence.
Yeah.
We might not be behind those prison bars for any crimes or anything like that, but the crimes that were executed upon us has given us that life sentence. The prison that we struggle with is up here and in here. And that is a lifetime imprisonment. And we have to keep moving forward on our healing journey.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Lori has said a couple of things here which I find interesting. So I don't have, fortunately, that much experience with the legal system as far as like what you've been through, B. But Lori said it's often that the prosecutors are only interested in taking cases that they can win. So if they don't, it goes against their record as like a failure, I guess, which is, I believe that 100%. That seems on par for what they've, how they're handling things. And she also said, did the Crown try to find anybody else who this person abused? I mean, that's such a good point. Like, was there any of that background work done? Like,
There wasn't. And that's the unfortunate part. And that's the other thing, that's another key point too, is when you're coming into a narcissistic relationship or a relationship with an abuser, they will put down every single one of their exes. Every single one of their exes is the bad guy. They've done nothing wrong. They broke up with them, blah, blah, blah. And that's exactly what this guy did.
Yeah.
And there was like really no way for me to find any of them, because it was like he wiped the slate clean. No record in the phone, nothing in the house, nothing that would even lead me to any of these women. But if he could do this to me, he definitely had other victims before me. And he definitely has new victims, unfortunately.
Out of curiosity, do you live in the same province? Or did you move? Like, what happened sort of after, or sort of what was? I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But did you like run away from the town, the city, like that sort of thing?
I have
now. I got to move for a second. My kids are being really loud.
I was stuck in that area for quite a while. I literally went from having a roof over my head to being homeless because of it, right? Financial abuse is extremely real. In most cases, they get to live happily ever after, having their income coming in. Meanwhile, they sucked you dry of all your savings and investments. And I find myself out here, and I don't mind saying it, I'm out here in the Kootenays now. So I feel a lot freer in this location because I can drive around not being concerned that I'm going to run into him or that I'm going to, that I'm not going to cross paths with him that easily where I'm living.
Yeah.
But I do on occasion still have to go back to that city to deal with other parts of my life that still exist out there. So I go there and I'm cautious.
Yeah.
I certainly wouldn't want him finding me.
No.
You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
I mean, when all was said and done, he had to. There was what's the word I'm looking for? A no contact order put in place. to protect me from him. And he kept breaching it. And the last phone call I made to his lawyer was, he's actually behind me with his motorcycle right now following me. And he thought I was joking. Well, I mean, cell phone pinging doesn't lie, and neither does the fact that I had witnesses with me that knew that it was him following me. And that last phone call made it clear from his lawyer to him, if you do this one more time, you will go to prison, because now you're in breach of this other order of no contact. And then,
Of course, they're taking that one seriously. I mean, they
he
should.
took that one seriously. He took
Yeah.
that one seriously. Yeah.
Gee.
No, I'm in a good safe place, I believe. So
Talk to us about where you are now and things that, I mean, you've talked a lot about, like, some things that you've learned and sort of how you've, rehabilitated your life, but like, talk us through a little bit about that and where you are now.
So definitely still very much on my healing journey. I'm excited with the connections that I'm making. I feel that these are good connections to have, for the knowledge and the wisdom and the support, as well. I just put a couple of things down here because I wanted to be sure that I just stressed a few things. Mental health wise, I have complex post-traumatic stress disorder, along with depression, anxiety, panic attacks, grief. I struggle with grief because that's the other thing that you'll deal with when you're going through the process of healing within your trauma. And on top of that, because of the trauma, I also have chronic illness and chronic pain. So everything has impacted my life negatively that way. But I have to be the one who's proactive in my healing process, rebuilding, establishing, stronger roots for myself, learning to.
Oh, we lost her.
Did we?
Well,
Hopefully
hopefully
first.
she's still there. Maybe she just lost her
Froze.
connection.
Oh,
I thought it was at
froze.
my end. Oh my gosh. Because my internet
Yeah,
cut out on me earlier. So
yeah. So we missed like 20 seconds or so of you talking, maybe.
okay, yeah. So I guess what I was saying is just basically like rebuilding my life from the ground up, rooting myself. So I believe in God, so that's where I lean into with my healing process. I pray, I listen to music. Nature is a huge thing for me. Music is a huge thing for me. Being my own advocate. I don't know about anybody else, but when it comes to like your mental health or your physical health, it's like you're fighting an uphill battle in that department too. I am still waiting for proper diagnoses on some of the issues I'm dealing with physically and mentally, despite the diagnoses I already have. That's the other thing people need to know. Trauma affects the body. It sickens the body. It
Yep.
hurts the body and the mind. So it all has a compound effect. And it's something that you have to work on with your healing process too. And being unashamed to ask for that help is a key.
Yep.
Don't let it
Yeah,
get so far out of control that you're losing yourself again to the things of the past. If you're stuck or you're frozen, reach out for help. There's no shame in that. And actually that is the sign of somebody who's extremely strong, in my opinion, is
Yep.
asking for that help and taking that help.
Yep.
And that's kind of where I'm at. I just actually got over being homeless again, and now I have a roof over my head. It's financial abuse, like I said, is very real. Yeah.
yeah, it's so true. And you never know when those things are going to turn up. So, to Courtney's point of that this is a journey and the healing the healing is continuous because,
Yes.
you spoke about like physical and those sort of like medical things that you're trying to figure out. I've been on a pretty hellish journey for the last year of trying to understand what some of my ailments are in relation to suppressed trauma
Yeah.
that has surfaced later on in life. And I guess maybe I didn't acknowledge it at the time, so I suppressed it and then it manifested. So I've been on that journey. I know what that's like. It's a really difficult, confusing, uphill. It feels like a very uphill battle, and you do have to be your biggest advocate, mentally, physically,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, on all sort of spectrums there. Because I mean, and it's no fault of like the system per se, but I mean, again, to like that logical, like they just try to put you in a box, and these things, what people experience is not this like linear black and white sort of, box check sort of experience. This is
Yep.
people experience things that are all individual, and they internalize it differently, and they feel things differently, and it manifests differently, and like, the whole spectrum, like I said. So that is like, I wish you well on that journey, because that is a difficult one, and my heart goes out to you for that, because it is confusing, and it can make you kind of angry at times, because you are reminded about what you've been through
Mm-hmm.
when you're having to face those sort of, those appointments, those, you have to figure out the, you're doing the research, and those things are difficult to deal with, and it is worth it, because you do end up, you start to, collect the information, and you start to be able to make decisions that,
Yeah.
better support how you need to, to get healthier and to live better, and that's the goal, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the financial piece too that you brought up, that is an interesting piece that I think people don't think about. I know people obviously have, I'm sure people even watching have been through a divorce, so they understand like the complexities of what comes from that. But that is a very real scenario, where, especially when you're just trying to get the fuck out, and
Yep.
the last thing on your mind is like, I need to take care of all my business. You just want to get out,
Yep.
and you know and then, the heartbreak of like realizing after, I'm sure, that, wow, I have nothing that, or now you have that stress added to your, to your situation. That
Yeah.
would be
And I
difficult.
think that's it. Like, I can bring this up because it's been talked about before, but I have a friend who's still in a situation, and she's in that situation, and her excuse or her reasoning behind that is because of the finances. Now she brings in her own money, he brings in whatever, he takes care of a certain portion of the bills, she takes care of a certain portion of the bills. So there's a good divide there, but she uses that as an excuse. But then there's somebody that's been through the financial abuse where everything you bring in goes into the abuser's pocket. Your savings and investments get bled dry. I mean, when I moved in with this individual, it was a house under renovation. It was a yard that needed landscaping. It was a business that was being built, and we're talking long term. And we're moved in together. So of course I'm going to contribute to that relationship until I realized the imbalance that was happening. And part of the reason why he targeted me was because of the money I was making and my savings and investment. And once everything was bled dry into the home, now I'm disposable too. It makes it that much easier to go on to the next. They got more in their pocket. So there's a big portion of that usually drives some of them too, in my opinion, based on my experiences.
Yeah.
But you walk away with nothing. You do. You walk away with nothing, and then you're stuck fighting for it if you're strong enough to go after them in civil court.
Right.
And if not, you just walk away with the clothes on your back and your ID and your empty bank accounts, and you go into a women's shelter, or you go couch surfing or living in your vehicle like I did. You do what you can, but on my point, I'm still alive. You know,
Yeah.
I look back and I go, at least I walked away with my life and I can continue living. It just means that I'm so far in debt, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's another serious form of control and manipulation that abusers use.
Yeah.
To keep their victims close. It's like, what are you going to do? You can't afford anything. What are you going to do? You can't do this. What are you going to do?
Yep. Absolutely. It's just amazing how people can be that calculating.
Oh yes.
And what you get out of that.
Yeah.
Like that's the part that blows my mind all the time, is thinking about how somebody can be so methodically cruel, and how they just exist like this.
It's a Jekyll and Hyde thing too. That's the creepy thing, is you
Crazy.
see them behave a certain way in public and you're looking at them going, well, this is the man I fell in love with, or, you know, for men out there, this is the woman I fell in love with, and behaving that way in public, but behind closed doors, they're that asshole monster that's like destroying every part of who you are, not just physically, but I mean your spirit, your soul, your mind is getting crushed, and there's no empathy there.
No.
They don't care that they're doing it as long as they get what they can from you, and when there's nothing left to take, you're disposable now. You're not needed.
Yeah. And so when you went to the doctors that day, that was the last time, like, so you had gone through that horrific last experience that lasted many months. You went to the doctors, and then was that sort of the ending point of that relationship in the scenario?
No, unfortunately. Just like the trauma bond, I went and I reported with my doctor, but we fast forward quite a bit. I'd been assaulted several times after that, but not to that particular degree where you could see everything until the last day. And I will say this, and I want to be very cautious for anyone who might be triggered on this, because it really was the last day for me. We were in the kitchen of the home, and he had started on me, and he was working it all day, and I was trying to get away, trying to stay calm, trying to, you know, not feed into any of it. And he just decided to say a few more things, and I felt a break. I literally felt something break in me and like move, and I just went rigid, and everything went silent and numb. And I turned and I looked at him and I said, I'm done. I am done. I'm not doing this anymore. I will not stand here and be abused like this by you anymore. It's over. I was like, I finally got my voice back and I got my backbone back. And I was like that's it. And I made my way past him and I started packing, because that's it. I didn't care about anything else. I just needed the basics to get out the door. And I started packing stuff. And that's when he went full scale. Full scale. And it's funny, but this little detail, you guys, is what saved my life from the first attack. And that was like hearing a voice say that I needed to take the keys from my purse and put it in my right pocket of my jeans. I needed to take the keys from my purse, and I heard this 3 times, and I'm like, I'm running at this point to get away from him, and I just got the keys in my pocket. And then he was telling me, sorry, there's victory in this, not just sorrow, not just pain, but there's victory in this too. So you understand where the tears are coming from.
Absolutely. It's very emotional.
He shifted his weight, and I had already lost consciousness, and I was gone. Like I was gone. I was not breathing. I wasn't anything. And his knee hit the panic button on my keychain, which set the alarm off on my vehicle outside. And of course, you live in a small community. What the hell is that noise? What's going on? He panicked and he got off me. And that's what got him off me. And then all of a sudden I was like, I could breathe. I was in shock. I couldn't move. I was stuck. And then the fight continued throughout the house. I'm trying to get to a phone so I can call 911. I knew I needed help. Nobody can hear me screaming, even though we were a tight knit community. Nobody can hear me screaming. Nobody came to my help. Or maybe they were too afraid to. Maybe they were too afraid to. I don't know. They all have their own thing, right? He made another attempt in the basement. I got away and I got the phone and I was able to call 911, and that's what got me out. That's basically what saved my life and got me out, was the fact that I was actually able to get 911 on the phone. And when he realized that I had the phone and I was calling for help, his whole demeanor shifted. It was Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Yep.
He went from psycho to, are you okay, B? Are you okay, B? And then he just disappeared. And he went and hid in the shop until police came. And I'm the one who's like battered and bruised and broken all over, bawling my eyes out, barely conscious. And he just disappeared, and I look like the raving lunatic when police and paramedics show up. So that was like the last if it wasn't for the fact that I was able to I had the keys in my pocket and he got off me, I wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for the fact that I was able to get leverage to get him off me again in the basement, I would not be here. If it wasn't for the fact that I was able to make that 911 call, I would not be here. He would have continued his assaults until he was done what he was intending to do, because my leaving him was not an option. I would be lucky to survive. Those are his words throughout the whole relationship. And he tried to prove that point.
Wow.
That
I'm here.
and
And
we're so
that's my
grateful
victory.
for that.
And that's my victory, because I'm here and I survived that. And no, fuck no, I'm not going to be quiet about it.
No.
I'm
No,
not.
this is
To make his
it's so
family
important.
comfortable, to make him comfortable, to make everybody
No.
associated with him comfortable. Hell no.
No.
Absolutely not.
No. And that's people need to hear these stories, because so many times people don't even know how bad it is until they hear someone else's story and they're like, holy
Wait a
shit,
second.
I'm living in this. Like, is that going to be my fate if I don't finally take that step and get the hell out while I can?
Yeah, exactly.
If they are saying to you, I will kill you if you try and leave me, you do not negate that threat.
No.
There is validity to that threat. That threat is extremely real, and you need to put things in place to protect yourself and get your ass out of there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, you need to.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how they word it. That threat is there, and they will act upon it. You're their property. That's all they see you as. You're not a person. You're their property.
Yeah.
And nobody messes with their property. Nobody comes and steals their property. Their property doesn't walk away.
Yep.
And they will keep you by any means necessary, even if it means trying to kill you or unalive you. Forget it. Nobody else is going to have you. You're just mine. It's
No amount
really,
of money or financial security or home security or your people, like who you're associating with them, none of it is worth sticking around for.
absolutely.
It's absolutely not. And
But it's still
story
so
is-
hard.
You're going to lose
I
all those
can't
people.
even imagine.
When that relationship ends and you get out, and you get out safely, you're going to lose everyone associated with any of the friendships you had within that relationship, any of the family members you might even been remotely close to. It's all gone because they will side with the abuser. Those are the flying monkeys. They've already been programmed against you. The smear campaign's already taken place. They already think poorly of you, and to them, you're also disposable. And they will make your life a hell if the abuser can't do it themselves. The flying monkeys certainly will. It's their programming too.
Yep. And that's the crazy. I guarantee you that's probably another reason why people stick it out for so long, right? Because they're terrified of having to start over and to be smeared, and and also there's that convincing too, right? Where you're so gaslit into believing that you maybe are the problem. Maybe you are crazy. Maybe I did make all this up. Maybe I'm imagining these things.
I like how you brought that in, because that's the other thing too, is it's like when you're dealing with the love bombing and the gaslighting, you really are questioning your sanity. You really are questioning the reality of the situation, because they've got you so infiltrated up here and almost like hypnotized in a way with what they say and do, that you're questioning your reality, and then you're like, well, maybe it didn't happen that way.
Yep.
But it actually did. It did happen that way, and you're the one who's in the right, and they're the ones that are trying to change the narrative to make you the bad guy, to make it all your fault when you actually didn't do anything.
And that's the worst part of it.
Did you push people that you had in your life before the abuser came into your life? Did you push people, like previous like family members or friends that you had in your life? Did you end up pushing them out of your life, or were they aware of any of this that you were going through, or what was that like? Your parents or your siblings, or if you have any of that? Well, you said you were in the system, so
yeah, I was so ashamed. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell my family members anything. I was so ashamed. I didn't really have much for friends at the time, so that kind of negated that. So I didn't have any support system like that. My support system actually came after I got out of the situation, which is surprising. It would have been probably nice to have that support system while I was in the thick of it. Maybe I would have heard somebody say something to me that would register, and I would have gotten out sooner. Who knows? But I didn't end up with the support system until after. No, I was ashamed. I was so ashamed of the fact that I was even in the situation. I think my bosses at the time were becoming aware of things when I would come to work and I couldn't function because of my injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked with a broken rib twice over, because he broke ribs twice on me, and I worked through them. My body was so numb to the pain because of the adrenaline and the fear and everything. I worked with them, and I look back and I go, nobody in their right mind would ever do that. They would have had the medical attention. That pain is insane. How did I block that out this whole time? I don't know.
Well, shame is a powerful thing,
Disconnect.
Toxic. They call it, what is it? Toxic shame.
Yes.
And that is a very real thing. And it is amazing how even when you are being victimized, you're like, I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim.
Denial.
Absolutely. Very much.
Yeah.
So, because it keeps you in a safe state of mind. Because I feel like if you were to really tap into what was happening to you, it's really hard to say how that would have looked. You know what I mean? Like, if that would have unhinged further for you. Better to keep yourself in like a lock state. Okay. I mean, and then once you're able to sort of like get to a place where you're safe and you can like let it go, and that's where this shit comes out years later, right?
Absolutely.
When you're finally at safety points in your life and you're like, okay, yes, survival mode. And you're like, okay, I can do this. I can let this go now.
Yeah. Nipping up for absolutely, Lori. Absolutely. Yeah, survival mode. You disconnect and you just do what you need to do to get through, and hopefully make it through another day. Hopefully you can make it through, the next hour.
Sorry, guys, excuse me for one more second.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Somebody's not doing their job downstairs.
Well,
What's up, Kate?
I'm absolutely blown away. I think that there is something so beautiful about the message, sort of like that download that you received about putting your keys into your pocket. Like that just blows my mind. Like that's like how the universe or God or whatever you want to believe, like that was giving you, like a hand, that you needed that. Like I just find that so unbelievable that was such a, like a pivotal piece for you. And thank God you listened. And that's sort of that gut instinct stuff. We talk about that a lot, that, and I think when you're on a healing journey, you become sort of a little bit more spiritual and you tune into a little bit of that. And I think that, like, when you recognize those things.
Yeah, sorry, the dogs decided they're gonna amp up a little bit
Oh,
here.
they can join. They can join.
Um,
But Court, I was just saying about how like crazy it is that she sort of had that message about putting her keys in her pocket, and about how, like, trusting your gut instinct and how important that is, especially when you're in those sort of moments where you have not much else to go off of.
Yep.
But your intuition or your gut, and listening to that, and how important that can be.
Well,
Well,
you're in that super heightened state of awareness too, right?
Yeah. I think it was interesting too, because it was 3 times and it was very specific that it had to go in the right pocket.
Yeah.
The right pocket of my jeans. And I knew, okay, maybe I'm crazy. I'm in fight mode at this point. I'm trying to defend myself. It's the first time I've ever put my hands up towards this man, because I knew I was fighting for my life. And to hear that and actually succeeding and getting them in that pocket without him realizing I had them, that blows my mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's divine intervention for sure.
Absolute divine intervention. And it was the car alarm. The car alarm. Like, I look back and I'm like, if I hadn't listened, if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
That's the scary part, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It just,
I mean, the whole thing is terrifying, but just the scary part is when you're sitting in reflection and you're like, wow, like, what if I, like you said, what if I didn't listen to that voice? What if I wouldn't be sitting here thinking about this right now? Like, it's just that crazy. And you almost like, it's like that fear finally, like, you're subsided, but it's like, wow, how crazy that is.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring this up because I don't know if this will resonate with other people, but knowing what kind of monster he is and what he's capable of, I do struggle with survivor's guilt. I think I say survivor's guilt because had he actually succeeded that night, he would have gone to prison. He would not, that there would be conclusive evidence to what he's capable of, and he would not be out there able to reoffend or harm anybody else like he is now. And it's not like I can approach any of the women that he's been with or are going to be with and warn them. And that's something that I have to put to rest, because that drives me fucking nuts. That I can't go there and knock on the door and say, you need to leave. He might try and kill you. He might succeed in doing so.
And the problem is people don't listen. Yeah.
They won't.
They don't listen. I mean, I've been in situations like that when I was younger, like in my teens, and being like, not a good idea. And based off of the experience that I had, knowing that it wasn't an isolated incident for me.
Mhm.
So it's not going to be an isolated, you know, it's going to happen again and again. And when you try to warn, like you're just looked at as this crazy ex that just has this vendetta.
Absolutely.
And, you know, and that's really hard because you do feel like you're not doing your due diligence to protect people, but it's like, what? You're not going to hear me anyway. So, you know, what do I do? Because obviously that person's being charmed and, you know,
It's the
like
same thing
charisma is a
I
scary
went through.
thing.
It is. But it's the predatory eyes now that I think I'm even more aware of, is when that intensity that's there, it's predatory. There's no love behind that. That is, I got you pegged. I'm the falcon and you're the mouse, and I got you. I got you in my claws, and I'm gonna devour you.
Yeah. Oh, goosebumps. Goosebumps. No, it like this is what needs to happen more often. Are these conversations? Are people being raw about the situations that they have survived, that they've been in? You know, you see it too often that people just slough off things that are really fucking bad. Like they're bad and they're just like, oh, you know, it's this happened, that happened, it won't happen again. And you're like, maybe you'll die.
But the pattern
Maybe that's the
will
next,
never change.
you know, maybe that's the next thing that happens to you. Maybe he doesn't punch you in the face again. Maybe he just kills you next time,
Exactly.
you know, or her. I mean, you see, like it's obviously more. It's I believe what I wrote down was it's 85% of domestic violence victims are women.
Right.
Like that's a written statistic that's just recent. You know, but I like you see it so much. It's just it blows my mind.
It is
But
extremely common. Yeah.
in it,
And
It's, yeah.
and the thing is and that's another reason to speak up and stand up and not be ashamed about speaking up and standing up. It's swept under the carpet so often.
yep.
We'll just keep sweeping it under the carpet. It'll go away. What happens behind closed doors is not our business. All that old school bullshit.
Yeah.
And then the body count goes up. Then what? Then what?
Well, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
It still goes up. I just thought of this when I was 16 and I was misbehaving and running around Huntsville drinking in the middle of the night, doing whatever. And I was walking back to the place that I was partying at. I can't remember why I was out and about. Anyways, I happened to see down in the gully by you remember the train station, Monica, in Huntsville? Anyways, I happened to be looking down and I saw this man and he had his wife by the throat on and had her on top of a car and was like in her face and I was like, what the and I mean, here's drunk 16-year-old me running down the hill to go intervene. I didn't even realize this person towered over top of me and I was like, hey, get off of her.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you don't even know what you just walked into. She was hitting me. I'm restraining her, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, you're kind of like, well, maybe that is what happened. I don't know. But at the same time, I was like, this doesn't look like restraining to me. This looks like you're about to slug this person in the face.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, you know, obviously there was words exchanged, like you shouldn't be interfering in something you know nothing about. And all of a sudden that fear set in for me because I'm like, this is a huge person. I'm not very big at the time.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell are you doing, Courtney? You shouldn't be here. Like, but it just was such an instinct reaction. Like, I'm like, no, I need like this, like I had to do something, you know, I had to go and just do what I could. But, you know, I kind of
Well, hopefully you made an impact that night, and I'm sure you did, because if anything, you know, I'm sure you diffused the situation by just showing up, which is, you know, most people, yeah, I mean, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like when people just, you know, they all basically stand by and they watch when shitty things happen. Like, well, like and there is a term for it, like they don't want to be the one to jump in and make that first move, right? But you that night chose to make a move and hopefully diffuse that situation and probably prevented something. So I think that's, you know, was
Well, they
good
left
that you brought
afterward.
it
Like
up.
it definitely humbled out, and it was sort of, you know, I mean, it ended well. Like it didn't end badly, but it just, like I said, there was that moment where I was like, "What the hell are you doing? Like this
Yeah.
is you may have, you know." And of course, you're also you come into those situations where there are couples that do fight like that, and you know, when you start attacking the person that's attacking them, they start attacking you because they're
Mm,
so brainwashed into believing that they're like, oh, you can't attack him. Like they go into
yeah.
that defense mode on their behalf. And, you
Yeah.
know, and that's, they've made the victim one of their flying monkeys, right? Which
Yeah.
is, that
Yeah.
happens. That's another thing that happens quite often.
I can see all my trauma rage coming out in a situation like that. If I came
Yeah.
across something like that at any point in the future, if I came across some guy doing that, I think
Yeah.
all my trauma rage would come out.
You better fucking get ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that'll be a whole different level of strength that I didn't know my body had.
Yeah.
You know?
Like when people lift cars off each other,
Yes.
Yeah.
you're
Exactly.
just out
Just,
there throwing these men around.
I want to be just aware of the time. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you for, you know, the comments and things like that that have been coming through. Is there anybody who has any like more comments or questions or, you know, wants to share any like feelings? I know we've hit on a very, you know, obvious, like, thank you, B, for being so like candid and open
Yeah.
about your situation, because
Absolutely.
I'll just say this quick. At the end of the day, you are 100% the success survivor story, which is why it was so important that we wanted to talk with you and be able to have this conversation, because you are going to make an impact with everything that you're talking about, and you've made an impact on us. You're going to make an impact on a lot more people, and it's these messages are so important, and this is 100% a success. And you've given lots of insight and
Yeah.
lots of like good information for people to make. I mean, at the end of the day, we're just trying to empower and educate other people to be able to make decisions that's in their best, you know, for their best, you know, scenario, I guess. You know, best way forward is what we're trying to accomplish with a lot of these hard, difficult, intense conversations, so that they can be better equipped to move forward in a good way, right? So
Yeah.
thank you for being so open and candid about all of that. And I just want to, you know, I do want to just see if there's anybody who wants to like ask any questions or wants to say anything at this time. We, you know, we are looking at the comments there for anybody who's with us.
And I thank you guys as well for putting this together and making all of this happen. You guys building got trauma in this community too. And I love how we're all coming together and interconnecting. And I just feel that support group really growing. I'm sorry, my dog's decided to.
That's okay. I had my kids knocking on the door going, Mommy, Mommy, Mom, Mommy, Mom, can you do my hair in pigtails tomorrow? Did we really have to knock on the door for 45 minutes to ask me that question? Really? Okay.
It's all three of them on the floor right now playing. The doors wide open and they can go outside.
Hey, they've been pretty quiet. I mean, we've been talking for an hour and a half, so
Oh,
you
wow,
know,
look
my
at
kids,
us.
I think my kids are probably asleep at this point. So, or they're getting
Definitely.
close. It's almost 9, right? So, um, it did. I guess somebody said that the live froze for a little bit. So hopefully, you know, we were either able to catch up, or we did want to just open up the floor to anybody who has any like comments or, you know, questions, or
Yeah,
what
we are
was
going to
your,
share this live too.
yeah, we are,
It's
this
going to be a
is going to
podcast
be,
episode.
yeah, it is going to be something that we'll be able to extract the audio from. So if anybody wants to listen to it again, but B, what's your TikTok handle for anybody who wants to follow along with your journey and learn more
So
about you
it,
and your story?
be a woman of faith. So it's just a B dash A dash woman dash of dash faith. And there's like, I think 2 little hearts and 2 bumblebees. Well, I can always change the profile picture so it's my face instead of the AI picture that's on there if it makes it easier. And then I have the divine Be-isms. So that's divine Be-isms, one word. And that is where I'm going to be doing more of my journaling, my healing process through journaling by just putting more things into writing, to kind of share snippets of the experiences. And it's not all doom and gloom. There's going to be,
Well, you are
the
a
good stuff.
writer, right, B? Like that's your passion, right?
It is my passion. I have to say, since starting this whole TikTok journey and meeting all of you, my writing voice has come back.
Oh.
I've been writing every day. This is unheard of for me because that trauma shut that door down and just kept everything suppressed. And now it's like, it's so refreshing and healing for me to be able to plug in and just, if something crosses my mind, I can get it written out. And it's like I'm purging is the word I want to use.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
again, some more steps in that healing journey that I'm just thoroughly loving and embracing. I mean, it's an ugly process, but
Well, you're
there's
turning
beautiful things come from it too.
pain into beauty, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Lori.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate every single one of you that's watching, including the few people that I saw cycle in. I'm going to get emotional on this too. Lindsay, you're amazing, sweetie. I can't believe you made it in here. Thank you so much. Karen, I know you're in here. I saw you cycle through very briefly. I'm definitely healing. I'm definitely healing ignited. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a lifelong process, but I'm healing.
Exactly.
So thank you guys so
Exactly.
much for this opportunity. I appreciate it. And
Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of your love and light and strength, and it inspires everybody, and we are here for it. And we thank everybody for tuning in, and I'll see if I can copy your handle and attach it somewhere in our messaging somewhere so that people can find you that way, or attach it maybe in the show notes or something like that once we extract the audio or something. But
we could
yeah,
also just share one of her videos on our business page, like one of the TikTok videos.
oh yeah,
Because then they can just click the TikTok video and watch
oh
from
yeah,
there, right?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because it would take you right to her account.
Mhm.
So.
oh, see, I didn't know it did that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it does. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it does.
Yeah.
See, again, learning curve.
Yeah. I feel like that's all we've been doing is learning.
So probably, I was thinking that on Monday, I might spend a good portion of my day live on TikTok, to keep myself grounded in the positive, and just make Monday a real celebratory kind of day, a day of victory.
That sounds like a good idea.
I mean, from the trauma came victory. I got out and I'm here. So
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
I can send you
Put that energy to something that is positive.
Absolutely. I can send you an energy healing that day if you'd like.
Yeah.
I'm going for my energy healing on Monday. So then I'll be full of positive energy. I can just pass it over.
Love it.
Awesome.
Well,
thank you guys so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here and helping us celebrate our 20th episode. It's a milestone for us, and we hope to have you back on and other people as well. And so, like, all of this is just positive, beautiful momentum. So this is great.
Definitely. And I know a few people that I think would be perfect giving their testimony and sharing as well. I know
Yes. Yes. They know who they are.
I'm not going to call
Yes,
them
well, you
out,
are
I'm
the
just
first
gonna
brave
say-
one to share very openly and candidly with everybody. So
Yeah.
There, I cracked that
it's
egg
hard.
open. You guys got to scramble it now. Exactly. We love you, honey.
Sure do.
Awesome.
Yeah, notice.
Well, I look forward to the next phase and everything, and I look forward to when you guys put this out there so that I can I can hear back maybe.
Yeah,
I can listen to
Yeah.
myself.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you both so much.
Thank you guys.
We're back to a regularly scheduled program next week. We do have a trauma tale coming out. Another, little story that we're going to be sharing, trauma tale of other experiences that people have been through. So stay tuned for that on all of our, usual platforms. And I look forward to doing this again and to doing more of the TikTok stuff that I'm learning about and getting on to another live and doing all that fun stuff that you guys are in. So
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so
I'll
much,
just-
guys.
Absolutely. I'll just hit the X on my part here.
All right, have a
And
wonderful night.
okay.
I'll shut down.
thank
Have
you
a
so
good night,
much, everybody.
ladies. Thank you again.
Bye.
Bye.